welcome to The World Today. I'm Harriet Agbayin. I'm standing in for your regular host on the program. But today promises to be an interesting one. Of course, we know there have been remarkable developments across the world. Let's start from the Middle East now. And Israel has reiterated its commitment to destroy every tunnel constructed by Hamas. The Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has vowed not to stop the operation on the Gaza Strip until that is accomplished, with or without a ceasefire. Well, Israel has a special interest in these tunnels because after airstrikes began, the Israeli Defense Forces discovered they had been used, or they were being used as points of entry from Gaza into Israel. In the meantime, the United Nations has confirmed that the number of people who have been displaced by the fighting in Gaza has reached 425,000.
Despite the increasing number of casualties, Israel pressed ahead with its Gaza offensive this morning, saying it was days from achieving its core goal of destroying all Islamist guerrilla cross-border attack channels. But a soaring Palestinian civilian toll has triggered international alarm. Several wounded children were brought to Gaza hospital today after an Israeli strike hit a UN school in which they were taking shelter. The early morning Bees Lahia strike on the school comes a day after 15 Palestinians were killed at another school in the Jabalia area, where thousands of Palestinians were also sheltering. The UN administrator at Jabalia said it appeared to have been hit by an Israeli artillery.
The Jabalia Elementary Girls' School was repeatedly shelled by, from all accounts, Israeli artillery. Women and children were asleep in what they had been assured was the safest place. Reports indicate at least 16 civilians were killed and many more injured. I condemn this attack in the strongest possible terms. Nothing justifies such a horror.
Israel said it had more than enough reason to attack the school environs, as its forces were attacked by guerrillas near the school in northern Jabalia and had fired back. However, the United Nations believes there is no justification. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's security cabinet approved continuing the assault, which was launched on July the 8th in response to a surge of rocket attacks by Gaza's dominant Hamas Islamists. But Israel also sent a delegation to Egypt, which has been trying, with Washington's blessing, to broker a ceasefire. Gaza officials say at least 1,361 Palestinians, most of them civilians, have now been killed in the battered enclave. Israel has lost 56 soldiers to Gaza clashes and 3 civilians to Palestinian shelling.
Now, almost 2 weeks after the shooting down of the Malaysia flight MH17, which led to the deaths of the 298 people on board, Russian aviation experts have arrived in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, ahead of a visit to the site, where Ukraine's government has ordered a one-day pause in military operations against pro-Russia rebels to allow the investigators reach the site. The rebels deny they shot the plane down with a missile by mistake. Russia says Ukraine did it, but Kiev denies it. In the Netherlands, which lost 193 of its citizens in the crash, Prime Minister Mark Rutte is meeting his Malaysian counterpart, Najib Razak.
The conflict in eastern Ukraine may not be easily resolved, but the people on board that plane had no part in it. We ask there be an immediate cessation of hostilities in and around the crash site by both Ukrainian and separatist forces. We ask that all sides respect the lives lost and the integrity of the site so that the investigation may proceed. The long walk towards justice begins with this step.
Well, For more on this story, we now go live to Washington, where the Voice of America's Andre Dinishnira is standing by. Thank you so much, Andre, for joining me on the program.
My pleasure.
Now, it's been about 2 days since tougher sanctions were imposed on Russia by the EU and the United States. Has there been any effect so far?
It's difficult to say because the sanctions are new. We can only look at the previous sanctions that have been imposed by the EU and the United States, and there are different views as to whether they have been successful or not. So it's a question of ratcheting up, as President Obama has stated, ratcheting up the sanctions, but it'll take a bit of time to find out if they actually work.
Well, we know that some investigators have actually arrived to investigate, to visit the crash site. What's the latest development regarding this?
Yes, finally, after a number of much shelling and so much fighting in that region that they were unable to go and to do their mission. Now they're there and they will reconnaissance. They will bring about an investigation. There are still human remains, about 80 of them of the 290 plus passengers.